Hello everybody, this is Nathan and I'm back with another game review. This time I'm reviewing the just released version of Tearaway Unfolded for PlayStation 4. This was just released today, September 8th. Now the original version, most people know this, it was on a PlayStation Vita game that was released back in November 20th of 2013. It's made by Media Molecule. They're best known for their Little Big Planet series of games. And it is a really odd style game. It is a traditional 3D style platformer that was mostly utilized for the Vita to show off all the little neat things that it could do. Now when you first start the game up, you'll go through this nice little opening sequence where the narrator and narrators of the game interact with you in the game before you actually really start it. And you get to pick two different characters like you did in the Vita version, like a male version or a female version. But naturally, since this is not the same as the Vita version, there were some changes that had to be made between this one and the original one. Now, first of all, the biggest change, which is definitely the best, is it now runs in 1080p and full 60 frames a second. Now, some games you could actually say, okay, it either makes a drastic difference, and other times not so much. This one, I think it actually does improve the overall game a bit, though the art style is done with construction paper and done in a stop motion animation style, to where it is a very charming overall game. Now the gimmicks that was in the first version was it used the Vita in so many different ways. It really showed off what it could do. The original Vita version, since it had a touchpad on the back of the system, there were certain parts where you could use your finger to tap the back of it, and it would have a CGI finger literally burst through the paper of the world to help you interact and get through the puzzles and stuff like that. Now that's one of the things naturally with the PS4 they could not do. So that was sadly kind of a, even though I thought it was one of the neat things, it was eliminated from this version. Instead, what they focused on a lot with this game, which is kind of a remastered version of the original, it does have some new levels in it and a lot of tweaks in it based on the fact that, it's a different version altogether than the Vita one. I mean, like the light bar usage is actually pretty well done over, I think, a bit too used. But instead of like busting through the paper with your finger like you would do in the original, this one has you use the light bar to shine on objects to bring them back to life, and also use it to manipulate the main character and enemies throughout the game, which isn't a really bad thing, but I did like the Vita's usage overall better. And if you have a PlayStation camera equipped, what it will do is similar to the original version. Is the whole plot of the game is you playing this paper letter, which is a whole quest is to get to you, the player. And it kind of has a weird Teletubby-esque style thing, which I've cut out of this video I made. I didn't want to show myself. But you will appear up in the sun or the moon in the corner of the game. It will bust through and it will actually have footage of you. So if you have your camera hooked up to the game, it will actually have you on the screen. And, it's kind of neat little gimmick. Now, the other thing that I noticed that really kind of lost its touch with this game is the original Vita version used the touchpad with a little stylus in a much better way. You could actually physically draw items and put them into the game to help you. This version still has it, but you have to use the touchpad, and I find that can lead to being a little bit sketchy. It's really tricky in order to really draw something right. Now, I've actually tried the trick of using like, an ink pen or something with a point to help me draw a little bit better with this the touchpad, and that does help a lot. So if you want to get like fine line stuff drawn, you can do it. Just use like an ink pen or something fine tip, or if you happen to have an extra stylus around, just go ahead and use that. It actually does help significantly in you being able to draw the stuff to use in a game. And as you can see, it's got this really charming aspect where everything's paper. As you progress through the game, you will have these gopher, beaver, whatever characters pop up, and they're pretty much there to help you get through parts of the game if you get stuck with puzzles and stuff like that. But so far, much like the original version, I haven't really had that much need for help with this game. It's a pretty standard game. Now, it's very, very linear and quite simplistic. So, it was a charming game on the Vita, and on PlayStation 4, it's definitely worth playing, except for a couple main faults. First of all, the pacing of the game, much like the Vita version, is rather slow paced. You'll have several parts in the game where you will go for a good amount of time with nothing really happening before you get to like a set piece moment that they have. And in the Vita version, that kind of worked better because since it was a portable system, you didn't really play it that much. You really like maybe had a break at work or something like that. But on a full-fledged PS4 version of the game, it kind of slows it down and makes it have some aspects to it that can be kind of boring. So if you can get past that, and the other thing that kind of really shocks the hell out of me is they're actually charging $40 for this game. And I'm not really necessarily saying that it was not really a $40 game, but they did add a lot of stuff to it. I think it would have been better at a price mark of $29.99. But $40 I think is a bit on the high side for something like this, because like I said, if you've ever played Little Big Planet, you're going to get the basic aesthetic of what this game's like, because Media Molecule is quite well known for their really unique takes on making video games, and it really shows in this as well. It is definitely a fun game. I mean, if you're willing to pay the money, or if you can borrow it from a friend, it is definitely worth playing. I mean, it is a very charming game. And, they do a rather good job incorporating a lot of stuff with the controller. Like in the PS4 version, they do have something like where if you've ever played some of their motion control mini games, they got one on here where you'll have enemies that get sucked into your controller, and then with the controller you can move it around and hear them screaming, and with the motion shot controller, it'll actually feel like there's something in your controller, which is a nice little thing. But I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. It's a gimmick. It's a rather gimmicky game, and it's a charming gimmicky game that I think has too high a price, but overall it is a fun game. So that being said, is it a good playable game? Does it have good controls? Yes, it actually has good controls. It does suffer from one of the normal things that most platformers do. The camera does do a good job. I think it does a better job in this than it did on the Vita version. But overall, the camera does have some spots where it can kind of wonk out on you, which makes it a little bit tough, but nothing hard. The difficulty, I think, isn't that hard at all, so just about anyone can play this game, because even though it's a 3D platformer, it does have a lot of puzzle aspects to it, and it does have a lot of collection. So if you're one of these people that like collection style games, you'll get a good kick out of it. So because of overall control, graphics, playability, fun factor, and price, I give this score of the game a 8 out of 10. I give it an 8 out of 10 strictly on the fact that I would have actually given it a higher score if they could have figured out a way of incorporating some more neat uses of the touchpad, like the CGI finger through the screen, which actually was one of the neatest aspects of the original version. But all in all, with the graphics upgrade and the fact they did make different levels and have to tweak the whole game to get it to work on the PS4, since with the motion controls, they did a pretty damn good job. So like I said, the score of the game is an 8 out of 10. If you do have a chance to pick this up and play it, if you do like charming, nice little fun games, that it's not a mad action game, but it's definitely fun and worth playing. So I want to thank everybody out there that subscribes to my channel, and I want to thank anyone that leaves any sort of comments below. And if you have any ideas of what games you would like to see me review in the future, go ahead and just let me know. And I want to say peace out, and thanks for watching.